Taylor Rapp here from the LA Rams. Shout out to Steve Taylor, the real sports guy, and the honorary Ram. When Steve's talks sports, you better listen. Thanks, Steve from the Rams, for your continued support and love. We are taking it all the way this year, but you already know that. Go Rams.
It's Albert Prince Bell, 21-0 checking in, and you rocking with Keeping It Real Sports. And we gonna be on here a lot of times. I love the platform. Check in, it's the new wave. Like, follow, subscribe, and do all that good stuff.
Oh, welcome to the Keeping It Real Sports podcast. I'm the Real Sports guy, Steve Taylor. He is the Sandman, Andy Sanzada. We got a big show for you. College football takes center stage. Oh, we're going to give you our top 10, break that all down, and we're going to break down the quarterbacks in the NFC North. Of course, we've got sound off and quick hitters. Man, we got a big show. Andy, how the heck are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Steve, and I'm feeling pretty comfortable in my new threads, too, in case you haven't noticed.
No. You look good. See, man, look here. When you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you play good. And that's what we about to do, man. Before we go any further, make sure, man, I understand that there's a lot of people that watch us every week that haven't subscribed. Come on, man. Hit that like button. Like, subscribe, man. Give us some love. We need the love. Show us some love. And look, while I'm talking about love, let's show you some love. We're going to love to do what we call the quick hitters. Quick hitters.
All right, Steve, let's get things started off with quite the milestone, if you will. Everybody's favorite, fan, if you will, college basketball sister, Jean. Well, she turned 103 earlier this week on Tuesday. My goodness, 103 years old. I don't even know if I want to live that long.
Man. I tell you, and she's still kicking it, too.
Yes, she is. And you know what? You know damn well if she's able to, and they're back in the tournament, we're going to see her again in March for sure. So, all right, what do you got?
Well, let me tell you who we are going to see in March and April and May. And let's go back to October. Is this guy. He's going back to the Nets. Didn't we tell you that was going to happen about a month ago?
Did.
Yeah, hey, look, I'm glad it's over.
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm right there with you, for sure. So, all right, partner, we got a melancholy quick hitter here. We lost a great one this week. Hall of Famer Len Dawson, Super Bowl winning quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, passed away at the age of 87. He was a big part of their franchise, but people don't know this, Steve. He actually has helped Patrick Mahomes become who he is as far as the leader in the locker room for Kansas City. So, big impact on them this year. But what a great career. And 87, man, I mean, that's a great life.
Yeah. Hey, look here, man. Let's go back and revisit the shocker of USC 278. Usman ahead on all scorecards, and he ran into this. A foot to the face that knocked him cold. Leon Edwards is now the new champion. Totally KO'ing Usman. Man, this is why I love the UFC.
Yeah, I've never seen Usman get knocked out like that. That was quite the feat, for sure.
No one else.
No one else, that's right. Yeah. All right, so there you have it for quick hitters. But we're not done yet. I think we got some more.
Let's do it. We call. Oh, by the way. Oh, by the way.
All right, partner. By the way, this is a major blow to the Oklahoma City Thunder. The number two overall pick is already done for the season. He injured himself in a pro-am pickup basketball game trying to guard LeBron James. I think in a way this could be a blessing. If you look at that picture right there, he's got to put on some pounds, Steve, and this is going to give him every opportunity to do that as he goes through his rehab.
Yes, it definitely will. Hey, by the way, did you know Patrick Beverley got traded to the Lakers? Boy, this is going to be fun. This ought to be fun. I can't wait to see Patrick Beverley and Russell Westbrook in the same backcourt, even though I don't think it's going to happen, but let me think about it.
Yeah, I think that could be the beginning of the end for Russ in LA. If they can find somebody to be a partner in a trade. Oh, by the way, Steve, it is the final tournament of the season in the PGA Tour. It's the Tour Championship in Eastlake, Georgia. And Scotty Scheffler and Xander Schauffele are separating themselves from the field. Scheffler's at 19 under, Schauffele's at 17 under. Remember, they already started with a low score because of the PGA Tour playoffs and what they earned going into this tournament. Patrick Cantlay's at 12 under, even though he won last week. First player to win the same tournament within the playoffs back-to-back years in the history of the FedEx Cup. But I'm going to watch and see if Scheffler can hold on this weekend.
Yeah. Hey, 23 reported million Americans have not been vaccinated. Oh, by the way, they won't let this guy into the country to play. The number one tennis player in the country. Man, this is ridiculous, man. Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah, I give a lot of respect to Novak, though, because he did it now before the tournament started so that he wouldn't be a distraction. So I give him a lot of props for that. Oh, by the way, Steve, Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy made a lot of noise in the PGA Tour this week. And the reason for that is they've started their own digital sports company along with a former executive at NBC who you see over there on the right-hand side of your screen. This will be interesting to see how this goes. It's called Tomorrow Sports. That's what the TMRW stands for. We'll see, if this is the future of sports media or if it flops. But if Tiger's behind it, it's probably not going to flop.
Yeah, I got much more to say about that pair a little bit later.
Yes, you
do. Oh, by the way, did you know that it was week 0 in college football? What do I mean? Look, it kicks off today in Dublin, Ireland. The Big Ten is going to be Northwestern and Nebraska. Nebraska with its revamped lineup that's brought in all of the transfer via the portal. I can't wait. Oh, by the way.
Yeah, college football. I mean, that's all you need to say to me. I don't care who's playing. There's another game. I think it's the SWAC versus the MEAC later tonight at 7 o'clock. I'll be flipping between that and the Browns game.
All right. Hey, look here. Let's hurry it up.
All right, partner. This week in the Hurry Up, it's time to take a look at the NFC North quarterback rankings. We've been breaking down all the quarterbacks for you over the last few weeks. We've already finished with the divisions. Now we're going to give each division its own quarterbacks until the regular season starts. This week it's the North. Let's start with number 4, and that's got to be Justin Fields.
Well, Justin Fields, he was Chicago's top pick. He only started 10 games last year, completing 58% of his passes. But the upside is what we're looking for. He doesn't have a lot of targets. He's going to have to do a lot on his legs and rely upon his athleticism if Chicago is going to be successful offensively. But Justin Fields, we got him ready, number 4.
Yeah, and he lost a big weapon in Allen Robinson in the offseason. All right, number 3, it's going to be just north of where you are, my friend. Let's go to Detroit and take a look at Jared Goff.
Well, Jared Goff, look at his career games. He's completed 63% of his passes throughout his career. Last year, quietly had a solid season, over 3,200 yards passing. Look, only 8 interceptions. That's down. That's real good for him. Look at his QB rating at 91.5. I'm telling you, him and that stud that they drafted, Jamison Williams, to go along with Amon-Ra St. Brown, man, this here team could be very dangerous.
Well, they've been really entertaining on Hard Knocks. That's no question about that. So let's see if they can transfer that chemistry in the locker room onto the football field. I still love their head coach, Dan Campbell. No matter what happens this year, I think he's the right guy for that job for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, number 2 has to be Kirk Cousins, right? I mean, this guy is just Mr. Consistent. Look at those numbers, Steve. I don't think he gets enough credit for where Minnesota has been over the last 4 or 5 years since he's arrived.
He really hasn't. Look at the career games with over 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. And in those contests, his quarterback rating is well over 115. But even his quarterback rating is 103. What we're talking about is not Kirk Cousins. What we're looking at is when Kirk's second Cousins creeps into the fray. That's what the Minnesota Viking fans have a problem with, when he turns into Kirk's second Cousins and sometimes even third Cousins.
Sometimes, and those numbers are deceiving because the number of interceptions is not that high. It's among the lowest in the league.
It's when he does it, Andy.
Exactly. That's exactly it. It's the timing of when he throws them, and that's why you give him that nickname of second and third Cousins. All right, well, it's an obvious number 1, right? I mean, we're talking about one of the greatest ever.
Oh, the baddest man on the planet. That man with 2 A's in his name. He signed a league-high 3-year, $150 million deal. He was voted the league MVP the last 2 years. Oh, by the way, when you dial back the clock, he's got 2 more MVPs to go at that. So the man has 4 MVPs in his lifetime, and it only gets better. People, do you realize that this man has only had 1 double-digit interception year in his entire career? Everything is single digits. The dude is a rhyme. That's all I'm gonna say.
Listen, there's a reason I said he's one of the best ever. That's one of the stats that'll do it. All right, let's take a look at the summary of the NFC North now. Rodgers at number 1 in the division. We've got him number 3 overall. Jared Goff at 3 in the division. 19 overall. Kirk Cousins at 2 in the division. 12 overall. Justin Fields at 4 and 26 overall. Steve, when we've looked at all of these divisions so far with the overall rankings, I think you and I feel like there's going to be a lot of shifting this year. A lot of guys are going to start moving up, and then some of the guys that are there in the middle are going to start moving down.
Based off of what we've seen with these, that's got to show me.
Exactly.
Keeping it real. That's all we do.
That's what we do. Hey, speaking of what we do, let's do some NFL storylines, if you would.
Let's do it. Sir.
All right, major blow to the Dallas Cowboys this week. One of their best offensive linemen, if not the best offensive lineman on the Cowboys, maybe even in the NFL, tore his hamstring in practice, and he's going to be out until December, Steve. So 4 months right off the bat without Tyron Smith. Does this change your thoughts on if Dallas can win the NFC East?
I mean, hey, look here. Obviously, in America can be closer than they appear, and those obviously are the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, say it out loud. You can downplay it if you want to. Tyron Smith tore the hamstring off of the bone, people. Okay, does that sound like he's going to be back this year? Don't sound like it to me. Man, look here, you can downplay it if you want to, but we know that the Dallas offense has done its best when that guy has been in the lineup. They're going to have to figure that out, Andy, and I'm a little worried.
Yeah, I'd be a little nervous if I were a Cowboys fan as well. All right, next we've got, get back up here for a second. The Jets have some news coming out of their camp, but Denzel Mims wants out, not getting enough balls, doesn't feel like he's going to fit into their offense, so send him out of here, I guess.
2 words. Bye, Felicia.
Yeah, this guy's like, what, maybe a number 3 or a number 4?
Bye,
Felicia. What does he expect? So, bye, right, this next one involves your Rams this week. The whole joint practice thing, it seems to work for some. It worked for the Browns and the Eagles last week, right? All we heard about were great things about both teams. This one didn't work out, Steve.
Andy, some of the best fights that I've been in have been fights in practice, man. The best fight I ever saw was Robert Gaddis and Kenny Waters at practice, okay? Stop this, man. People were making, too much out of something. Okay, look here. This all stemmed to Leonard Floyd, the bad blood between Leonard Floyd and Lyle Collins when they were with the Bears and the Cowboys, respectively. okay? And the one thing Aaron Donald ain't going to have is guys throwing helmets at his guys, okay? When you start snatching my guys' helmets off, I'm going to grab yours, and that's what we see, people. Period in the story. Let's leave it alone. Let's move on.
And I don't think the NFL is going to step in.
They're not going to step in. It's just move on.
All right, speaking of move on, where's Jimmy G going to move on to? Right? All right, Steve, let's play a game. It's called If Released, Where Do I Go?
Man, because see, like, I really believe they're going to have to poop or get off the pot, Andy, and it's going to happen this weekend because Jimmy G carries a $24 million cap hit. Okay, if they release him, it's only a $2 million dead cap hit if they cut this guy. If not, he's going to be on for over $25 million. So my sources are telling me that they're going to release him. Where would you go? Would you go to New Orleans? Maybe. Everybody's saying Seattle, okay. But if you really want to stick it to the 49ers and play an offense that's similar to the one that you already, why not go to LA and just be the backup for Matthew Stafford and just regroup until next year? Yeah, it's going to be next year before you get a job anyway, so go that way.
So I'm gonna step in here real quick, okay? And I know you didn't mention Cleveland, and I know you don't think that that's a good idea. But the reason I put Cleveland on here, okay? Jacoby Brissett is starting the last preseason game tonight, okay? If that does not go well, I promise you that the Browns will jump in on this before he gets released and try to trade for him so that he doesn't have the option to go where he wants to go.
And there's the other option. There's the option. Correct.
So that's why I had Cleveland in it. So, all right, Steve, that's it for the NFL this week. It is time, my friend, finally time to take a look at the Keeping It Real Sports College Football Preview. Man, I tell you, it is week 0, man, in college football, man, and we just couldn't wait to put this together. So let's do what we call our top 10, but we're going to give you the top 20 teams. But we'll highlight the top 10. You'll see. You've heard the rest. Now here's the best. It's the Keeping It Real Sports College Football Poll. All right, partner, let's look at the top 20 first. We'll start at number 20. We're going to do this in groups. So the first group will be 20 through 16. The next group will be 15 through 11. Okay. And then we're going to get into the real breakdowns where we get into the specifics of the top 10. So we're going to kind of glance over these first 10 teams, and then we're going to really break down the last 10. And then at the end, we're going to look at the All-American preseason team for the offense and defense. All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So here we go.
Well, we got Michigan State at 20, Andy. I mean, Mel Tucker definitely turned that team around. He lost a lot, but he gained a lot. He made good use of the transfer portal. And I think with Mel Tucker, that's going to keep them at 20. At 19, look, we've got Miami because of the emergence of quarterback Tyler Van Dyke. Mario Cristobal is coming over there to try to bring that Miami mentality back. At number 18, we've got Penn State, and that's all about Sean Clifford. Sean Clifford's been there and done that. I expect him to do the same. At 17, we got Cincinnati. Man, Cincinnati lost a ton, but what they didn't lose was Luke Fickell. So now what we're looking at is a Luke Fickell rebuild, and I think he has the talent to do it. And at number 16, we got Arkansas, and you know how I love KJ Jefferson last year, Andy. But now they get Drew Sanders that comes over from Alabama, the linebacker, help out. Man, they're very dangerous. I like Arkansas at 15.
Yeah, they could be a sleeper in the SEC this year. They really could. So, all right, let's take a look at 15 through 11. Number 15, Steve, I mean, every year this team is in the top 20, and it seems like over the last 3 or 4 years they're in the top 15, and it's the defense that has them there, Steve.
Yeah, they're the best defense in the Big Ten, man, hands down. Wisconsin, they come in, and look at the thing about them is the emergence of Braylon Allen, that running back that they have. When we look at Oregon, we're looking at a redo. Dan Lanning comes over, the defensive coordinator from Georgia. He comes over. He inherits Noah Sewell, a talented linebacker. It should be interesting what he does with that. At 13, we've got Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State has returning quarterback Spencer Sanders. He's going to keep them very relevant. At number 12, we got another redo. That is the entrance of Lincoln Riley and company. And what does Lincoln Riley do? He immediately goes out and he gets Caleb Williams through the transfer portal and Jordan Addison, two of the top players in the country. USC cannot, man, be slept on. We got them at 12. And at number 11, we've got NC State. And look here, they've got I like that quarterback, Devin Leary. And then linebacker play. That's real big with NC State, man. Watch, man, them in the ACC, man, a very dangerous team.
Yeah, a lot of people think they're going to be right there with Clemson at the end of the season. And as far as that Wisconsin mention, I will be in attendance for that game. Down
reporting live for Keeping It Real Sports.
Yeah. Listen, I'm over the moon about going to a Big Ten game. But that team always makes me a little anxious when we play them, for sure. All right, Steve, so that's our top 11. Now let's look at the top 10, and let's start with number 10. We've got the Baylor Bears.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Baylor, man, rode a strong rushing attack and a stout defense en route to the Big 12 championship last year. The Big 12 should be in the Bears should be in the Big 12 chase again, as the offense and defensive lines are its strengths. The playmakers need to step up, but what they got was a preview of their quarterback game with Blake Shapen when he came in that bowl game last year to replace Gary Bohannon. But I like what Coach Dave Aranda has, man, in the Baylor Bears. They finished last year at 12-2. Man, we got them coming in at 10.
All right, number 9, a lot of people think if anybody outside of Georgia can push Alabama in the SEC and potentially get into the playoff, it's these guys right here, the Texas A&M Aggies.
Absolutely. They were 8-4 last year, but Jimbo Fisher landed the top-ranked recruiting class in the country. The Aggies have an extremely talented roster. There's questions at wide receiver and at quarterback, but the secondary should be tremendous. And even though that they have a new defensive line in place, man, they are very talented. What we're going to have to look at is the tough September schedule that they have. If they can get past that, Andy, we could be talking about playoff city.
All right, the next team, let's not spend a lot of time on, please. It's that team up north.
Hey, man, one thing that we do is we keep it real, man. Hey, look here. Last year was a big surprise for them. They won the Big Ten for the first time since 2004, and they advanced to the playoffs with a defense that led the way. But there are 8 starters gone from that defense, and their defense coordinator, Mike McDonald, is also gone. The offense should be better as Ronnie Brown returns. Their rushing attack should be better than last year, but their defense is definitely going to have to step up. A real young defense, but they've got some young playmakers that they hope to plug and play. Man, we've got to respect them. We got them at number 8.
We respect them because they're in there. It doesn't mean we have to focus on them. All right, number 7, Brent Venables. You seem to really like this move, coming over to take over as the head coach in Oklahoma, and we've got the Sooners right there at number 7.
Yeah, exit Lincoln Riley, enter Brent Venables. Here's the under-the-radar signing that no one's talking about is Jeff Levy coming over from Ole Miss, the offensive coordinator. He's the guy that called those plays last year. He's the guy that got Matt Corral into the NFL. Brent Venables, the former Clemson defense coordinator, he inherits a talented bunch, including a solid group of transfers that he got via the portal. That includes Central Florida quarterback Dylan Gabriel, who should be a great fit, and that should fit in well with the skill positions around him. You plug that in with Jeff Levy and Brent Venables, that says Oklahoma is a top 10 team.
Absolutely. And they always have a great defense, right? I mean, that's just like the staple of the Oklahoma Sooners year in and year out. All right, Steve, a lot of people have this next team in the top 5. We're not there just yet, and that's because they've got a rookie head coach in Marcus Freeman, but it's the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame.
Well, Brian Kelly was the winningest coach in the history of the history of the school, and his replacement, Marcus Freeman, is a first-time head coach at a school that gets much media attention as any school in America, yet no one seems to be worried that the Irish will falter, okay? Tyler Buckner is a new quarterback operating behind one of the best offensive lines in the country. He has a talented tight end in Michael Mayer. He's a great security blanket in the pass game. But, Andy, the secondary's got to improve as it was picked on all last year. Man, that's not a good sign going into the game that they're going into. They were 11-2 last year. Some people expect them to be better than that. I think they're going to take a step back.
Yeah, listen, the Notre Dame-Ohio State ticket is the most expensive ticket on Ticketmaster right now. So a lot of people, yeah, it should be. I mean, you're right, And that game, by the way, is only a week away. All right, Steve, number 5. A lot of people may not know how good this team is, but you've got every reason to justify putting Utah at number 5.
What? Did you watch the Rose Bowl last year?
I did. Yeah, I didn't like the result.
Yeah, did you see Cam Rising and Tavion Thomas take it to the Buckeyes? They kind of pushed the Buckeyes around like a shopping cart until the Buckeyes figured it out. Expectations are sky high for the Utes as they try to repeat as Pac-10 champions. Hey, look, Pac-12 champions. Cameron Rising came in. They were only 9-2 under this kid after he came in. In Utah, they're saying this is one of the best leaders that they've ever been around. Their defense is one of the most physical in the league, but they're going to depend on transfers to step up at every level of that defense. They have the talent to get it done. The big one for them is the opener against Florida. Look for that. That's going to set them up for a big run. That's a big game for them and the Pac-12 as a whole, Andy.
Yeah, I think they need that game, and the Pac-12 needs that game as well, Steve. But, it's one of those types of games where as soon as if they were to lose that game, then everybody's going to give up on them, right? It's just one game, and if you're going to lose, you lose early, not late. All right, we got to pick up the pace here. Number 4, we've got the Clemson Tigers. They're back at it. Can Ui Angalalele finally get it done at quarterback?
And that's what's going to be the big question. Andy, the defense is going to be good as ever. The front 4 should wreak havoc once again. The offense is somewhat questioned, but what isn't questioned is Dabo Swinney and his ability to be able to mold the offense. He's got a great group of running backs and wide receivers that he has to go through. Big back-to-back games against Wake Forest and NC State will determine whether the Tigers can win another ACC championship.
All right, the defending national champions are not in the top 2. We've got them at number 3, and that's because they lost a lot to the draft.
They absolutely did, but we can't say 1980 anymore. While the defense won't be as talented as last year's generational unit, but the defense definitely remains a main staple. The best defensive player on that team returns, Jalen Carter. He's a huge talent, and he'll lead a stout group that definitely will wreak havoc on the SEC. What they have is a brand new offensive line that concerns me a lot. But what doesn't concern me is the return of tight end Brock Bauer and Stetson Bennett IV. Stetson showed me he ain't a clone. He's a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, with him coming back, look out for Georgia. All right, Steve, we thought about it. We just couldn't do it. Not yet. Ohio State, number 2.
Yeah, well, absolutely. They finished last year 11-2. C.J. Stroud, Trey Henderson, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, they all vie for All-American honors. The offensive line is one of the best in America. The offense will be just fine. The Buckeyes brought in Jim Knowles from Oklahoma State to fix that defense. What he's done is, what I'm hearing, Andy, is a name that Buckeye fans don't know. It's J.T. Tuilalamola. He is emerging as that dude. And when I said that, I mean D-A-T, that dude. Watch it.
They haven't had that dude since Chase Young left.
Yeah.
So if they get anything close to that, watch out for Ohio State this year. All right, Steve, you just can't not have them at number 1 as much as we don't like them. Even though they lost in the national championship last year, they're still who they are. It's Alabama.
And they didn't lose a game. Their players weren't healthy. Well, you know, they were the best team. Saban had the best roster in the nation, but guess what he did? He went to the transfer portal to bring in 5 guys that are expected to play big roles. In part, I'm talking about wide receivers Jahmyr Gibbs and Jermaine Burton to pair with Heisman winner Bryce Young. Come on, man. The defense is going to be even better this year. They got Will Anderson and a ton of kids that are in the All-American. Man, these dudes it's going to be a problem. Oh, by the way, I can't wait to see Alabama and Texas A&M. Because you remember, Dabo, you picked this one. Let's see.
I think you mean Jimbo, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at the offensive All-American preseason team. Quarterback Bryce Young. This is the first team, by the way. There are more players in the second and third teams, but we only have time for the first team. So you got Bryce Young at quarterback, Travion Henderson and Bijan Robinson at running back, the best receiver in the entire country at Jackson Smith and Jigba at Ohio State. Jordan Addison, as you talked about, transferring over to USC. Brock Bowers is the tight end at Georgia. And then the offensive line, Jared Patterson. I mean, there's always an offensive lineman in this group from Notre Dame, right? Same thing with Ohio State. Paris Johnson is probably a top 5 pick next year. Connor Galvin from Baylor. Andrew
and
Voorhees,
the best of the bunch. And could be the best of the bunch. Andrew Voorhees.
And, the kicker from that school up north. All right, so there's the offense. Now here's the defense. Jalen Carter has to lead the way, as you talked about earlier. Brian Breesy at Clemson, Will McDonald IV at Alabama, Will Anderson at Alabama, Jack Campbell at Iowa, Noel Sewell, as you talked about, inheriting over in Oregon, Riley Moss at Iowa. And Steve, we were talking about this before we got on the air. Iowa is going to be a tough matchup for a lot of teams this year, including the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Oh, man, dude, Noah Sewell Jack Campbell led the nation in tackles last year, okay? Jack Campbell, that linebacker, the real deal. And then Riley Moss, his cover skill, man, them dudes going to be a problem, man. We just got to see if they can, move the football. But them dudes going to be a problem.
Yeah, if they get any kind of offense, they're going to push Ohio State towards the Big Ten championship for sure. Jordan Battle, again, Alabama, Brandon Joseph at Notre Dame, Antonio Johnson at Texas A&M, and then the punter is Adam Korsak from Rutgers. So the Big Ten represented in multiple ways, Steve, amongst the All-Americans, amongst the top 20 as well. Listen, U of I have always felt like it's been the best conference over the last 3 or 4 years, the most consistent conference in terms of competitiveness. The SEC's right there, but we're a little bit of homers when it comes to our favoritism towards the Big Ten. But you know who's not a homer? The PGA Tour. I think you got a lot to say about that, my friend.
Hey, man, let's sound it off, Andy. Just when we thought we had seen the end, the PGA does not disappoint. My sound off is on the hypocrites, known as PGA. Let's look at it. The PGA decided to make 10 changes to its policies to include stipends for all members that are non-exempt. All exempt tour members now are guaranteed $500,000. The tour is to include 12 elevated events, and a player impact program pay is increased from 10 to 20 players. Sound familiar? Well, Lee Westwood seems to think that. Lee Westwood says, I laugh at what the PGA Tour's players have come up with. It's just a copy of what Live Golf is doing. There are a lot of hypocrites out there. Who are the hypocrites that he's talking about? Well, let's look at it. Let's start with Jay Monahan, the PGA commissioner, who stood on his soapbox and just totally destroyed the structure of Live Golf and what Live Golf was all about. And then he brings in Roy and Tiger, and I am not angry at Roy and Tiger for the stance that they've taken with the PGA, because monetarily they stand to benefit, and I understand that. But what I don't understand is how you, Tiger Woods, and you, Rory McIlroy, can stand on your soapbox and you can talk about your fellow players who took a chance to make capitalism just like you did. Make the money just like you did. And you want to talk about them and single them out? That's the problem that I got with you. That's very hypocritical. See, that's ASA 9, ASA 10, ASA 11. You get what I'm saying with that. Okay? You know who else believes, understands, and agrees totally with my point or what I thought? Be this guy. America's caddy, Michael Collins. I think he knows a little bit about golf. And at the end of the day, it brings me back to the one guy who was vilified over this whole thing in the beginning. And now, looks like he's right. I'm talking about Bill Nicholson. That's my sound off. Oh, man, another in the books. 48 in the books, Andy. Man, it's been fun, but we got to run until next week.
We wish you love.
And peace. Deuces.